Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. We're all kind of sleepy today, so expect a lower energy version of the podcast and lots of yawning potentially. So, this was a topic that was pitched by Goto, so I'm going to have him introduce us to today's discussion.
So today's discussion is all about the history of fighting games, our experience with fighting games, and what we've always evolved with as fighting games. So as much as graphics, as mechanics, as playability, limitations, and what is probably coming up with the future of gaming for fighting games, like we just announced with Tekken 8. And might I just say, the game looks amazing.
It
Uh,
really does look amazing, Tekken 8, and that actually kind of brings up something we were discussing off of podcast just a couple minutes ago. The idea of a Dead or Alive and Tekken crossover for the beach volleyball.
which would be great. By the way, just gonna pitch in here. We are also joined by Mr. John McBaughan,
Hello, everybody.
And
and
we're also joined by the Mad Belmont.
Uh-oh.
he fell asleep. He fell asleep. Wake him up.
Where's the air horn?
Guys made me roll out of bed too fucking early for this. God damn it.
Listen, I know sleep is very important and everything, but I guess we need to do this. It needs to
Yeah.
be done
Yeah.
in my night.
Okay.
By the way,
But yeah,
quick question: When did you guys? When do you guys think the first original fighting game came out? I
I'm
know I
gonna-
gave you guys some clip notes, but try not to look at it.
I'm gonna guess around maybe 1976, 77.
John, your guess?
I want to say like early 80s.
Madman?
You know what? I'm gonna go earlier than that. 1971.
So, Leifer, 100% right. The first game was released actually by Sega, and it was called Heavyweight Champ, released only on the arcades in 1976. To be even more precise, it was September 23rd, 76.
Too bad we weren't recording that about a week ago.
True.
Celebrate the anniversary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was actually the first fighting game that released, and it never really caught on until further. Like there was also Warrior that came out in '79. There was also a bunch of other small games, mostly Japanese themed, if I remember correctly.
But you
Um,
also had stuff like boxing and all that stuff that were considered, at least in the ever-growing genre of it, before it
exact,
branched to its
it-
own thing.
yeah, and what actually very popularized the actual fighting game itself was Karate Champ.
See, I would have thought it would have been the original Street Fighter.
You would have thought it, but no, it was actually Karate Champ that kind of inked towards this is its own genre and this is what needs to start being made.
And then it expanded beyond that because I've heard of Karate Champ, but I know the other one that's been talked about quite a bit was Yi-R.
Yeah.
Yi-R Kung Fu.
Yep.
I've never heard of that one.
Hold on. Year Kung Fu. I know I have it here in my cliff notes and I have
Uh-huh.
yeah, Year Kung
October
Fu from
1984 it came out.
Konami, which was released in '84, October '84. So
Mhm.
literally tomorrow.
Nice. Also, well, at least we're hitting one anniversary. Also, I think the Mad Belmont will want to announce something since Konami was mentioned.
Yes. I am an official brand partner for Konami. Oh, that was a nice little tidbit of information.
So, I'm actually gonna chime in on that. It's not tomorrow. The actual anniversary for this Year Kung Fu is October 25th, '84.
Ah,
Worldwide distribution March '85.
nice.
The localization then took a while.
Yeah,
Well,
Uh,
localizations took forever back then.
yeah. It was.
And they were never very good.
No, definitely not. And talking about that whole mistranslations and
Gauro was pretty bad for that.
yes, it was.
KOF 94. It was funny though.
KOF
They made
94
fun
had one?
moments.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, because side note with this, so when SNK would release their cartridge games, like on MVS or AES, if you could mess around, I believe, with the BIOS settings for the AES, you could actually play different versions. So you could play the arcade version on the cartridge or the home version on the cartridge.
Okay.
And you can change the region coding on it too, because each regions had different things. So, example of that, like with Garou,
Yeah.
since we love to reference our favorite Marco Rodriguez, depending on what version you play of Garou, changes his name.
Okay.
Yes. To Kush Nude Butt.
But then again, if you have Bud, you can do Bud versus Dong, which is great.
Which is the meme on both of our channels now because, yeah, we've referenced it so many times that it's kind of an in-joke between community members.
Mm-hmm.
But so, all right.
Anyway,
We've
side
covered.
note, then continue.
We've covered the first release
Era.
of, the first era of fighting games. Now going on to the second era, what would you guys think? And actually, I'm sure every single one of you guys will get this wrong. There was one special company that actually started releasing or establishing games in the fighting genre, one-on-one fighting. Can you guys guess which company was working on most of the joysticks for those arcades?
I'm gonna guess Capcom?
Wrong. John?
I thought, but I know it's not that. I want to say either Taito or Irem was another one.
Nope. TheMadBelmont?
Let me see. Okay, this is gonna be a complete shot in the dark. Atari?
Nope. It was developed by Technos Japan, but released by Data East. And if you guys don't
Never
know,
heard
Data
of
East
either
I've heard
company.
of.
Data East is a pinball creating company.
Mm-hmm. Initially.
Yeah, initially these guys just created pinball machines, and then they
I'm
started.
curious, do any of you guys have any like memories of pinball?
I do. I
Yep.
remember going to the arcade because we had a mini putt up in Ontario when I used to live there. That we'd go to. Had lots of fun. After the 18 holes, we'd go straight to the arcade and just waste quarters.
I remember when we went to a Pizza Hut that we had here, it was like there was an arcade, there was a pinball machine, and be like, I just want to play like a round or two on it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I remember. As
I
a
really
kid-
missed arcades and pinball.
Yeah, I remember as a kid. Actually, I think that there is still a fucking pinball machine at this particular restaurant. There's a restaurant that I used to go to all the time when I was a kid, specifically for this pinball machine. I'm gonna give you guys some guesses as to what it is, because you ain't gonna get it. You ain't gonna get it.
Black Magic?
I don't even have that here.
No, that was my guess on the pinball machine.
Oh, no. It was themed to that restaurant.
Oh, well, I'm going to guess Roadhouse.
Don't have it.
Ah.
Think
Nothing.
big chains. Big
Applebee's.
chains. Nope.
Hooters.
Don't have one of those.
Okay.
Hooters.
I don't have one of those either. I'm in a small town. I'm
But
in a
I mean,
small
I
town that nobody cares about. Okay.
Oh, come
It's
on.
KFC.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, fine. Well, there goes my
Oh,
idea.
listen,
There goes
that
I
was-
Love You, Colonel Sanders, as the only KFC game.
Yeah.
You made the joke I was just about to make.
That is stolen.
I told you guys you weren't gonna get it.
Nope, definitely.
Excuse me while I go load I Love You, Colonel Sanders. I need to go. I need to do that now while we're doing this. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, the first arcade machines were actually created conjointly with Technos Japan and Data East, which really popularized the dual joystick controls. So that was a thing for a while, and I remember, again, back when I lived in Ontario, there was a Dave and Buster's, and we used to go play Virtua Fighter, and your punches, your kicks, and everything was dual joystick. So you would move with your left hand while hitting with your right hand. It was a hell of a thing.
That must have been really complicated to figure out.
It was just fun, to be honest.
It's more like treating it as a dual stick shooter. It's just like, okay, you move with one, you attack with another.
Exactly.
Basically.
But, I mean, to make your combos, it would be easier because, again, Virtua Fighter does not have double button inputs. It has always been a one button input since it was created. So it's easy to just go left, hit your stick to the left, and then just wrap your hand around and hit your stick to the right, or just grab it and wiggle it back and forth. So it just worked wonderfully for the game.
I would be interested in trying that out, for sure.
I think there is one actually not too far from you, Leifer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think there was a Dave and Buster's just a little north of Toronto.
Nice. I'd have to find out if they had Virtua Fighter, though.
I think they still do.
If they did, it's probably in really rough shape.
Oh, all their things are probably still in pretty rough shape. They were already out of shape when we got there.
Did you guys ever find when you went to the arcades that some of the joysticks were questionably sticky?
Yeah.
Or questionably loose.
I felt, yeah, sometimes like it doesn't respond correctly for some of them.
Like you'd literally have to like damn near snap the thing off just to get one input out.
But it doesn't because like, is that also the ties of like where gamers like eat food and have greasy hands when they play their controllers and they're disgusting? Is that where that
Yeah.
comes from?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So, just a little input here. It's in Vogan,
I have no idea where that is.
between Toronto, Brampton, and Markham.
Ah, okay. I'm rarely ever out that way, so...
It's actually really not far from you. It's max of maybe a 50-minute drive.
That's kind of cool.
That's not too far.
So that's the thing we can add to our to-do
Escapades.
list.
Yeah, definitely.
So back to gamings. So we talked about Yar Kung Fu, which I'm pretty sure we are all butchering the name. Because
Probably.
the way it's English spelt is Y-I-E space A-R Kung Fu.
I guess you could call it Yar Fighting Game.
Go to the corner.
Oh, just go.
You can only say that if there is pirates in it, which there aren't.
Yeah.
Sadly.
I'm sorry, that was just bad.
It's deliberately bad.
Ugh.
Hang on a second.
What are you doing, John?
I'm trying to see if I can find a pronunciation for it.
Oh, that's... Well, I'm gonna keep going.
I hate the robot. I just did the robot pronunciation. It went Y-I-E-A-R Kung Fu.
Oh, jeez.
I think that's worse.
That's pretty bad.
But actually, you made me think of something else. There was another fighting game, or at least style of fighting game, that came out around the same time. I think a year after.
Okay.
Has anyone heard of Karateka?
Yes.
No, and that sounds
Yes,
like
I
some
have heard
kind
of Karateka. Yes.
And that sounds like some kind of budget porn. Not gonna lie, the title of it.
All right, I'm leaving. Bye, everybody.
It's if you want to say it in more of a traditional way, it's karateka,
There you
which
go.
is somebody who does karate or somebody who follows the way of the empty-handed fighting.
Mm-hmm.
That
So-
explains Hitomi's title in Dead or Alive, then.
Really, Lever? You're gonna make me have an aneurysm now.
Ah, jeez. Hang on. Do we need pizza and beer? You want to just hang out and do that, sir?
I think a
I can get the
seance.
beer. I can get the beer.
Okay, I'm gonna pizza. But yeah, no, the only reason I mentioned Karateka is because it came out actually the same year as YR. Except the thing was it was only initially released for the Apple II.
Yeah.
And who
And
is
I'm
familiar?
the Apple fanboy.
Yes, you are the Apple fanboy for the as far as I know with this. But the reason I bring it up is because who here has played or heard of Prince of Persia?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have played Prince of Persia on the PS2, Sands of Time.
I'm still waiting for them to remake or remaster the first freaking Prince of Persia.
I think
At
they're
some point.
rebooting it.
They're
They-
restarting development on that one.
Yeah.
But the only reason I bring it up is
They're-
because the creator of Prince of Persia created Karateka.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
I did
So
not
Jordan
know that.
Mechner, because Jordan Mechner, Karateka, I believe, was his first game, and then the original Prince of Persia followed shortly after. Followed shortly after the release. It was 5 years later. He worked on the original Prince of Persia, and then the one we're referencing, the Sands of Time. They brought him. Ubisoft brought him back to help out with that in 2003. So
Not bad.
And the only reason why I know of Karateka is there is a YouTuber by the name of Metal Jesus. I think we all know who he is.
I
I've
do
heard
not.
the name.
I heard the name. Not sure.
Okay, so Metal Jesus is like one of the OG retro YouTubers, right?
Okay.
So he has this series that he does called I Hate You. And one of the games that was featured in that series was Karateka on the Atari, I think it was 7800.
Apple II. But there was
No,
a
it did
Atari
have a
7800
console port.
release.
It was on the Atari, I think it was 7800.
Yep, that
was
came out
the
in
version that was
1988.
that was on there, and that's the only way I even know that game existed is through that video.
Play it. They did remake Karateka.
What systems?
Android, iOS, and you can get it on Steam console.
And I'm gonna be
Sure.
getting into R6 thanks to you too.
All I'm gonna tell you is have fun.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see me become the salty sweat lord that I became last night when we were playing Soul Calibur?
It will take you a while to
To get to that,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna need a
Okay,
long time.
it'll take a long time. Like Goto said, I have over 500 hours in that game, and I only started getting salty around like the 50-hour mark.
I
Fair enough.
have over 1,000 hours, and I'm still having some issues.
Your wife, though, is apparently very good at Rainbow Six.
She's good at trapping.
I'll be
in
back in a
Rainbow
second.
Six.
Okay.
Hey, now, last time we played, all three of you and her, she was at the top of the goddamn leaderboard.
Yep. Yep, because she was a trap hitter. And because of those traps, she gets a lot of points. But we digress. Rainbow Six
Yes.
Siege, that's for later.
Yes.
Well, actually, we could also do a history of, and I mean, it is a big history of shooting games.
I would have very little to contribute to that discussion because the only one I've ever been able to get into is the Resistance series.
Well, I can ask you one question. I'm sure, maybe even Madman will know. What was the first multiplayer shooter game?
I'm gonna guess Contra.
Nope. The first actual multiplayer game. Because Contra was.
First one. Doom Baby 1993.
Wrongo-ish. It was Wolfenstein, the first actual multiplayer, because it was coded for multiplayer, but it was never an actual full-on release.
Online. Yeah.
Until it literally got the online capabilities. But it was coded in. It was there. It was ready to go. But Wolfenstein was the first multiplayer shooter game that existed.
Doom is just the one that made it pop.
Exactly. I have it here. Actually, you were talking about Karateka. I have it here in my notes.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of just overlooked at it because you guys were going off, and I was just like, I have it in my notes. Huh.
You know, Karateka was, I know, a big one with that, but I know Street Fighter was also around like late 80s, 87 or 89.
Oh, for which one?
The first Street Fighter.
The first Street Fighter was in 87. Yeah.
In 87, yeah. Yeah, because I know it was late 80s. I just don't remember exactly the year.
Fun fact for you guys, until the Capcom Fighting Collection came out, I had basically no experience with Street Fighter.
Really? I remember going to my friend's house when I was young and trying out Street Fighter. I think it was 2 Turbo that he had. And
Here's the thing, none of my friends were really into fighting games.
I've had a bunch of friends with different tastes, but again, I was an army brat, so my friends would be there for like 2-3 years and then move out, and then you would come in and I would just have to make new friends. Or I would move away and I'd be like, well, you gotta start over again. Yay!
I just go back and I play and hopefully introduce someone to it that they will. That hopefully they will.
By the way,
And-
Don,
Oh,
I
go ahead.
actually have a question for you, since you seem to have known about Yi Arkafu.
Yep.
January 1985, Beam Software released a game that was originally released on PAL in May 85, which borrowed a lot from Karate Champ, but they made themselves a special little niche. Do you know what game that is?
What year?
85. Game made by Beam Software, and the team consisted of Greg Barnett, Bruce Bailey, Neil Brennan. Can't say the name. Brennan?
Neil Brennan?
Yeah.
What you trying to say?
Yes. And David Johnston.
The Way of the Exploding Fist.
Exactly.
I've heard of that
vaguely
game, too.
have heard of it, but I know nothing about that game.
That
I've
game,
seen it too.
That game actually, like, it made a boom in the fighting company, or in the fighting genre. So, it was actually kind of like the first
1v1, you would say?
it was the first 1v1s, the truly 1v1 arena fighter, because Karate Champ, you'd walk around and fight. In this one, it would spawn you into a area and you would fight. Now, the other little thing here is Way of the Exploding Fist was actually the first to be not recognized, but to be assumed to have plagiarized another game.
Interesting.
They were actually the first to be accused of plagiarism, but when they studied the coding, it was completely different. So there were some similarities, but it was not plagiarized.
So basically, someone had a similar-ish idea to...
Actually, they were talking about Karate Champ. Whenever it falls under the 1v1 fighting,
Yeah.
the coding would resemble each other. It would fight like it would on the other game. But the way the Exploding Fist, the way they encoded their things was completely different. And the way damage outputs, the combo strikes, the multiple hits to a sort of a string, not really a combo, just a lucky movement, I guess. Because back then, combo was not an actual thing. It was just a string of hits.
Yeah, it was just like hit, go, hit, go, hit, go. That's it.
Yeah.
I think I have to look this again, but I believe I remember, like,
By the
Street
way,
Fighter 2 was the first one that
guys,
did it.
what is the first fighting game that is known to have had a combo string?
Street Fighter 2.
Apparently, no.
No.
That's what I thought it was, just because I thought it was discovered as a bug, and they left it.
No, the first actual was... I'm the one who brought it up. Kid,
It has kid in its name, so you're almost right there.
yeah, I just don't remember the whole name. Drawing a blank.
Shanghai Kid.
There you go.
1985.
I'm the one who brought it up on your last, when we were talking about this idea a little while back.
For the auto combo video,
Yes.
if you could include a card for that in editing.
I definitely will.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Shanghai Kid was actually the first one with actual combinations to a multiple string hit, which combo.
Interesting.
It was and it was actually programmed like that. It was intentional. What you were talking about, where Street Fighter 2 in 90, or was it 2?
91 or 92?
91.
91.
Yeah. Street Fighter 2. Hold on.
I'm looking it up right now.
It
91, February 6th.
February 6, 1991. Yeah.
Yeah.
They. Okay, so Street Fighter 2. We're gonna start off with the basic, the arcade. Okay, that was the first actual release of Street Fighter 2 before it came to home consoles.
Yeah.
They had the
Probably a
most
year later.
accurate joystick and button response that has ever been released so far in any single arcade machine. Even the first-person shooting games that were light detectors, where the screen would go dark, have a white
The
square.
light gun moves.
Yeah. Even those wasn't as accurate as Street Fighter 2.
Why do you think the Street Fighter 2 cabinets had such accurate controls?
They took it upon themselves. Capcom took it upon themselves to use what is called CPS, or the CP system chipset, which were created by, I think it was created in-house Capcom.
Yeah, they had the CPS arcade cabinet systems, because they used that for majority of their arcade releases.
Yeah. So they actually decided to update it to the CPS 2. And that step forward literally just broke what everybody knew about fighting games and how detailed, how precise it could be. They took the biggest step forward. And it's actually what kind of opened us to towards the 3D fighting genre.
Which is where I kind of come into the fighting game space, because I didn't start playing until I was 22, and it was Dead or Alive 5 that got me into it.
What
So
was your first fighting game you played?
Well, the thing is, I know I definitely played like some 2D fighters at the arcade when I was like really young, and I do have a memory. I was like at a birthday party, and I was like 7 or 8, give or take, and I was like playing, you know, just whatever fighting games that night. And I want to say probably something from SNK, or it could have been one of the earlier Street Fighters. I don't really remember. I kind of just remember a red cabinet, so I'm thinking it was probably a Neo Geo of some type. But anyways, you know, I was plunking around, figuring things out, just mostly button mashing. And then, like, a teenager came along and put in a quarter and, instantly put us into a fight, and they absolutely destroyed me. I kept putting in quarters because I was having fun, and then I ran out of quarters, and they plunked down a whole bunch of quarters. No,
We're not done. So we're not done.
No. Let's dig into this. Let's go play some more, right?
Yeah. And I think
So,
On that.
actually, on that note, what do you guys think was the first 3D fighting game? First ever released?
I'm gonna guess the first Virtua Fighter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you guess-
that's what I was going to say.
Can you guess what year it came out?
I'm gonna guess 93.
93. 93.
Yeah, so I was right.
Yeah. So the first attempt actually was Sega AM2's first attempt was in 93 with Burning Rivals.
I've heard of that name.
I've heard the name. Don't know anything about Burning Rivals.
Well,
Never heard of it.
see, Burning Rivals was actually sort of a derivative of Virtua Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically an updated version of Burning Rivals, or maybe just polished, I guess you could say. Which actually did re-release, and it dominated the first 3D. Like, people were going crazy about Virtua Fighter. Oh my god, a 3D fighter! You can jump, go around the guy, get rained out. It was
Yeah,
wow.
that was a big step. That was a big step, and it just blew people's mind.
Yeah.
Like,
This
'cause
kind
AM
of brings up another question that we can kind of discuss. What was your first 3D gaming experience?
Actually, my first one was Virtua Fighter.
for you, Virtua Fighter?
Virtua Fighter 2.
Mine was Mario 64.
Same here.
I might be older. I'm going, for me, Quake.
For me, the Super Mario 64 was because a couple friends of mine had an N64 pretty soon after it launched. I went over, I was like, oh, what's this, big blackish gray, yeah. As let's face it, the N64 was a pretty big console. It looks dinky nowadays, but, back then, we had things like the SNES or the Genesis, and they weren't super big machines, in terms of actual footprint. But anyways, I was curious, and they're like, "Oh, here, we'll play it." And then they booted up Super Mario 64, and they passed me the ET designed controller.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. Which actually could be a very good topic for another podcast once we get there. Controller designs.
That was Yep.
Fuck is this?
Yeah.
I would put the N64 controller in the abomination category.
I'd put it in the hybrid category. But
Okay.
actually, that was part of the main joke about the N64. Is, well, I guess Japanese are just three-handed because there's three prongs.
So where's the third hand? Does it come from the chest? So there's an arm that's just sticking out from the middle, just like you hold it this way.
So let's head back to the fighting games.
Yes.
So go back to that for a second. I'll ask, what was the first one you remember playing? I know for me it was Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo with my friends, and they
Now-
hated me. My friends hated me quite a bit whenever we played it.
Are you talking about 2D or fighting
In general.
games general? Fighting game
General.
Okay.
For me, it was MK3 on Super Nintendo.
MK1.
Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo for me. I went over to my brother's. I used to, as a kid, I sometimes just walk out of the house, no warning whatsoever, walk on over to my brother's place, wherever it was. I remember at the time, he was over in the apartment next to my old over there. Him and his friends were playing Super Street Fighter Turbo on SNES. And I said, what is this game here? And he just said, oh, this is Super Street Fighter. Like, and he just handed me the controller, and he said, you're gonna go up against me. And my brother proceeded to kick my ungrateful ass.
Like most older brothers tend to do back in that time.
Lucky me, I never had any siblings.
Yeah, for being a solo child, you had to rely on friends. Right?
How many times did friendship end thanks to games like, you know, Street Fighter or MK? Where, hold on, MK2.
Or hang on, any joke, anything named Mario.
True.
No, Mario motherfucking Party. Okay.
Mario
That's
Party.
the real friendship story, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I lost friendships because of Crash Team Racing.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go back here, back to the fighting games here. 1995. Can you guys guess what came out? It was a Japanese release at first. It might have gone to port, I'm not sure. It was the first true 3D fighting game. IGN described it as one little move that changed the fighters forever. Nope, it was not
Oh,
Tekken.
boys.
Nope,
Virtua Fighter?
it was actually called Battle Arena Tushiden.
Oh, so Shinden.
Yes,
Wasn't that a launch game for PlayStation 1?
yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
So
So Shinden.
the original release was January 1st, 95, and we got it almost a whole year later, because we got it September 9th, 95.
Yes. When did PS1 launch? I think that was a launch day.
I think it was the first 95, I think.
Yeah, I'm just checking here.
Release
Yeah,
date.
no, 9th of September. 9th of September.
Yeah, no, it was actually the actual launch date of the PS1. Huh.
By the way, fun fact about the PS1, it had only 2 megabytes of RAM and 1 megabyte of VRAM.
And you want to laugh even more? It was the first CD console where you could, and I've done this when I was younger, I would go out, rent a game, because I knew that certain games would have a whole game loaded with no loading screens. So I'd rent the game, pop it into my PlayStation, let the game load completely, never pause the game, just kept it going. I had to go stationary, I couldn't do it. Pop it open, pop it back into the rental case, go back to the rental place, and just like, can I change it? It's really not good. And I would switch it for another game, so I'd have 2 games, literally for 1 rental.
I gotta love the hacks that we would come up with as kids, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna keep going on this one here. So to Shinden, I actually never had the chance to play that game.
I never
I've never
had-
played it.
I never had the opportunity to play it either because the Blockbuster movie got mostly just whatever was popular and random kid games.
Not that good.
Yeah, really.
But
does.
if you see Toshinden in action, it's an interesting setup because it's not like combo heavy or anything. It's just like one slash can kill you. So it almost seems like a 3D Samurai Showdown in a sense, but just more realistic.
Yeah.
So you had to put a little thought into it.
From what I've been reading too, like every character has their own special set of moves. You can switch around the arena using your L and R buttons to do what is dodging. You can also do projectile attacks, which is a big step in the actual fighting genre. Because
I lived 3D one.
even 2D projectile wasn't really
They
much
were-
of it.
They were there, but I guess they didn't do much with it.
Yeah. Tushinden.
A lot of 2D stuff had it.
Yeah, because Tushinden kind of just made it super, like...
I know at the time SNK was pretty big into fireballs and stuff for zoning purposes.
Yeah.
Like, that's Athena's whole game plan, and she's been in the King of Fighters since day one.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and it's been a really big thing in Street Fighter. Street Fighter is what really, I think, popularized the whole fireball and zoning type of characters. It really gave you, I think it was really the first game to like give you different archetypes of characters to play.
I am curious, what do all of you guys think of zoner characters?
They can be
They're
annoying.
annoying to go up against, but you just gotta figure out how to deal with it.
I'll be honest, I'm such not an expert on games like that I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Well, the thing is, it's, zoners are very popular in 2D fighting games. Like, that's kind of the games where they have their niche.
Yeah.
They're not really so popular in 3D fighters. In fact, I can't think of too many that really feature zoning 3D fighting characters. But basically, their whole game plan is to just get as far away from the opponent as possible and spam their projectile.
Yeah. So range attack players.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of them, but I mean, if you can dodge their projectile, they're kind of stunned in said animation for a little bit, so it gives you a chance to get closer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, all you really got to do is block or jump over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you figure out how to like avoid those or like move through them, then you can like close the gap. Or you just play another zoner and you just keep throwing fireballs back at each other until somebody breaks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or in Mortal Kombat terms, you can just play Scorpion, teleport, and then fuck them up when they decide to throw fireballs.
Yep.
Do you remember when I was really pissing you off, Madman, in Mortal Kombat when I was first getting into it and I was starting to learn how to actually do projectiles and I just kept spamming Johnny's green ball of doom?
Yep, and I basically just kept fucking punishing you for it by teleporting behind you and like putting you into a jungle combo. I remember pissing you off really bad with that. You were like, God damn it, man. I'm supposed to be the troll, not you.
Well, that, and I was also at the time still learning 2D fighting games, so it was like, yeah, I'm taking this on the chin. I'm being turned into a tomato can. I guess I killed the conversation.
No, I'm just going around here trying to get some more ideas.
For
I'm
it.
just
But yeah,
getting
like
around to installing my new games I just bought.
Nice.
But yeah, like going through that stuff, like the other things that I find interesting, at least with the genre itself and its history, is it's built around the focus of like, versus play. I think this is one of the few that actually made versus play very popular.
I'd agree with that. Also, have you noticed that fighting games, for whatever reason, out of all gaming types, seem to have way more camaraderie than most other competitive genres?
Some cases, I would say so, definitely.
So
Because I've...
Depending.
I'm actually gonna jump in here quickly, guys. So we just literally just spanned through the whole 90s very quickly without even getting a
There are
structured...
still other things.
Oh, there is still like Bushido Blade, DOA 4, DOA 3, DOA 2,
Fatal
the
Fury,
Soul
Art of
Series,
Fighting,
the
Samurai Showdown,
yeah, Sam Show, KOF.
Soul Blade, Soul Edge, KOF, Last Blade. There's a lot. Like the 90s, if you want to talk the 90s, that was the boom, but that was also, I would say, the excessive amount of stuff
Which
that came out, which kind of led to
the
The dark
2000s.
ages.
burnout.
The 2000s which was the decline of fighting games.
Of fighting game popularity because of look at how much was out there.
Yeah,
Like as you said, we skipped the '90s a bit, but how you could probably name maybe 15 plus
oh, easy.
that came out.
Easy.
Easy, even more than that came out. You did have some true gems there, but you also had the shovelware.
What are some?
I'm talking about you, Street Fighter the movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what are some shovelware fighting games that you guys kind of remember? Because keep in mind, I have not gotten into fighting games until very, very recently.
Street Fighter was the most major flop that we could say. Because
Yeah, the movie one. We got to be specific with that.
yeah, Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Yes.
Jesus, was that horrible?
There was one I remember seeing on the Jaguar. I got to go look up the name though.
Wasn't the Jaguar just shovelware in general?
Basically, yeah.
Essentially. There was still some good stuff for it though. I'm not gonna diss the Jaguar completely, but some of the stuff that came out for it, yeah.
Yeah, some of the stuff, not all of it, and like very limited. And I mean, I'm happy that the '90s brought out the Soul series because Soul Calibur's awesome franchise. By the way, love it to shreds.
I love it. I love it too, and I think that probably next year, that this is my prediction. I think next year, Capcom, they're going to announce that Soul Calibur 7 is officially in development.
Which would be pretty cool. Do you know when the first Tekken came out? And by the way, do you even know what Tekken means?
I don't know what Tekken means, but I'm gonna guess that 95?
94, actually.
It was arcade first, and then it came to PlayStation after.
Yeah.
Hey, I was pretty close.
Right?
You were really damn close. Yeah. And Tekken, well, it's Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I should have guessed
the
that.
Iron Fist tournament.
Exactly. And actually, I'll be honest, Tekken is one of those games that absorbed me into the fighting genre, but I was limited because I was stuck with playing a certain game and I didn't have enough money to go get. Sorry.
And
There's the yawn.
count.
Yep.
Put the yawn count to 1.
Yep.
Can you actually do a yawn counter for this podcast?
Oh, I can definitely.
Cool.
What sucks is it caught me while I was talking, so it's just like, frig. Because usually I mute myself. I usually mute myself. Yeah, so Tekken was actually one of the first games that I played that was originally just perfect. I didn't feel like there was any input lag. It was well-rounded. It was an awesome 3D fighter. And it had one of the stupidest yet funniest glitches I've ever seen. Where
What glitch was that?
Jin Kazama would do a spinning kick, but they didn't program his upper body to follow it. So his torso would literally twist on himself. It was hilarious.
That could be a future podcast. Weird graphical and game-breaking glitches we've experienced over the years.
I've got a lot, because I actually, for a while, I worked with a couple of companies here, Beanox, Ubisoft, to find glitches and report them. I literally had a game where we had to go into God mode to figure out where the guy was stuck, the enemy, because I couldn't proceed to the next area. And I literally had to go to God mode, go through every single building to figure out that there's an enemy that was supposed to walk out of an open door, but the door shut right in his face, and he got stuck inside just running.
Talk about a bad day for that NPC, right?
Oh, it was hilarious. Like, that day, we encountered so many glitches that me and the team I was working with, we were, like, discouraged. At one part, I just, hands on my desk, pushed myself back, and fell on my ass. My buddy would take his head out of the cubicle and just go, "Hey, Goto, that's a glitch." Everybody in the office started laughing their ass off, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was actually too well timed. Fuck."
Imagine if that had been recorded like your, well, fuck moment from your green screen.
Oh jeez, I will be putting that in there. Like, I'm sorry, that was just, oh, I'll go fix it. Ah, fuck.
And then it's just like, no, something else happens.
Oh no, my green screen decided to just seppuku itself.
Yeah, now you gotta include me and Madman eating ourselves off clips.
Yes.
That is...
Did you put those on your Discord?
Not yet, but I will.
Okay, I don't have them right now, so I'm gonna have to rip them from there.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I was too tired to put them up last night, and I was like, yep.
Which is perfectly fine. So we went into the decline of the early 2000s.
Which is kind of where I come in, because it wasn't quite the early 2000s that I came in. It was kind of the... when fighting games had just kind of started finding their feet again, so around 2012.
Yeah, well, actually, the Resurgence was late 2002 right now, because it's still just booming. There's new games, new IPs, remaking old IPs, and just, wow.
Do you think that we're headed for a second decline, or do you think that that's a ways off yet?
I think it is coming. I'll be honest, because right now it's going way too well for fighting games, and it's bound to just drop.
It's going to at some point. I think we can agree on that. It's just the problem, we just don't know when. Right now, we are seeing the resurgence of Capcom definitely right now with the upcoming release of Street Fighter 6. Because they kind of need a win right now, and it seems like Street Fighter is going to be that win that they desperately need.
And Namco with Tekken 8 is definitely gonna just wow.
I am super excited for both.
I mean, like, if we're talking with that, like, I mean, we've already seen SNK like with their Resurgence right now, and they are still riding that wave strong.
Yeah,
I would love to see other players get into the mix, and like, if you're gonna talk about that too, let's talk Western for a second. NetherRealm is still on their hot streak, I find. Despite we don't know what they're doing next, which I'm going to guess is Mortal Kombat 12 here. But, I mean, they have been going strong, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon for them.
I'll be honest, I really don't know what they're going to be doing, because I feel like they've concluded mostly the story of MK.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are they going to do? Are they going to do an Armageddon 2? That didn't have any story. It didn't have any implication on the story itself. It was a new entity entering the realm and just, this is my realm. Fuck you.
Did you play MK11?
I did.
Did you play the DLC?
I did not.
Okay, that changes things.
Okay. How much?
By quite a bit.
Okay, you're gonna have to expand, because I don't think
Do you want me to spoil it here?
Spoil it.
I'll do spoiler warning. Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay.
So, and Madman, back me up on this too, because I know you've played this as well. Right?
Okay, I'm back. I had to help Mama Madman to the restroom.
Talk about timing for
Just got out of the- For those
Back
of
me up
you
on-
that don't know that are listening to this podcast, my mom just got home yesterday from a 19-day stay in the hospital, and she can't get around too much right now on her own, so I have to do it.
You have to help her out. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no. So,
But yeah, anyway,
what happened with the DLC?
Yeah, so Madman, back me up on this, because we're talking MK11 spoilers.
Okay.
Because the way Mortal Kombat 11 ended, it ended things well, but the Aftermath DLC basically changed things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Changed how that story
it
ended.
changed a
So
lot, man, because it added a bunch of characters, into the mix,
Well, I do have the
Really
Aftermath.
only 3.
I do have the whole thing. I just don't remember it at all.
how it ends. So how it ends, because that's what we're going to talk about here. If you, we're going to go under the assumption that you picked the good ending here, because that's what I'm assuming is going to be canon here. So what happens? Fire God Liu Kang defeats Shang Tsung. I said his name wrong. I know that, and he goes back in time to meet a young Kung Lao, and is going to train him.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, are we looking towards a Shaolin Monk 3? Now that's the question. Because,
Alan Monk 3 could be cool, but I don't think that could happen because Liu Kang's a fire god now.
yes, but he is training Kung Lao. Kung Lao,
So you could be the arc of the great Kung Lao now.
yes.
That's what I believe is going to happen. So Kung Lao
Yeah,
could be the new protagonist.
and basically, when God Liu Kang defeats Shang Tsung, it restarts a whole new timeline.
Yeah,
Basically,
So a soft reboot, essentially.
basically, which actually a lot of companies do tend to do that when they're starting to run out. They will do a soft reboot.
I will
That
admit it did work out well for MK9 though.
it did.
But that was a good way to not only like reboot the series but also introduce the franchise to new fans. And I think
By
they did a
having
good job with that.
classic characters in there, you had new characters in there with the combat kids in X.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of X, that is actually my first Mortal Kombat experience.
huh. Well, um, I have it here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's up there. Mortal Kombat X Collector's Combat Edition.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I remember you showing me that.
What was
Yeah.
included in the collector's edition?
The game, a Scorpion figurine, a bunch of novel stuff. Didn't like. I'm not touching that. That is staying in a box, and it is keep safe, not moving. Frig that, because that's gonna be worth a lot. Just like my Neo Geo Gold, I'm not touching it. Although I am thinking of selling it now.
I am jealous that you have that.
Would love to
It's
have one, but yeah, they're just
pricey.
yeah. Neo Geo collecting, that's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah,
But it's like, yeah, collecting Neo Geo stuff's too damn expensive.
it is.
To get into our favorite fighting games, how we got into them, and where we'd like to see fighting games kind of go in the future. I think that could be like a little interesting topic to finish us off tonight.
Definitely. I'm gonna let John start because I haven't heard much of John's fighting style and games.
So where so again, where the future of this is going?
Where
Well,
the future of it's going and how you got into fighting games and like what you want to see from fighting games in the future.
Yeah, so for me, like I said, the first one I remember playing for my records was Mortal Kombat 3 on Super Nintendo with friends. And my friends hated me for it because all I would do is I would just keep doing throws and it would just annoy the hell out of them. So we wouldn't play fighting games whenever we got the chance. But
understandable.
it was a fun little time. And then we played that. It led into Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then we also tried out Soul Calibur 2 a little bit when it came out, and Deadly Alliance. Who remembers MK Deadly Alliance?
I do. Loves that.
I do. I
That
do.
was a fun little foray into 3D for MK, don't you think?
Yeah.
I kind of remember it, kind of don't, because like I knew it existed, never played it.
Played
Yeah.
those for a bit, and then I stopped because I didn't really have anyone to play with at the time, and then I stopped playing fighting games for a couple years. But then I've told the story about this to Leifer, and I believe both you Goto and Madman as well. But my first foray into SNK was Metal Slug 3 and the King of Fighters 2002, and that not only introduced me to SNK, but also renewed the love for fighting games and getting back into the series. So
Nice.
that was a big one, and then I've been playing them on and off. But I still enjoy what I play with it,
So
and
How,
then with the new releases like KOF 15, I wish I could play more. Just damn it, time don't have it.
yeah.
how did you get back into fighting games recently, John? Because I know you took another like little break for a while.
Oh, it's just like the peak of interest of like what's coming out and just following the news of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like, I'm still following what's going on with KOF 15 because I want to see not only Team Samurai when they come out on Tuesday, but also where they go with season 2 because two of my favorite characters are coming back.
Yep. And I'm excited for one of them. One of them I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get my shit kicked in.
Is it just because if I pick him, you know that's gonna happen?
Yep.
I don't know. We don't know that's gonna happen.
So we're gonna go into the
Yeah, I
next
mean,
segment.
you don't really know that.
So let's go into the next segment. What would you like to see in the future of fighting games?
So standard for me, there are a few things that need to be standard just with the way everything's going. And some developers are leading the trend right now. Like SNK is getting on track with it. Capcom's leading the charge, and so is Arc System Works with it too now. We need good online play. That has to be standard now. Because
Yep.
offline events are still going to be a thing, but they're not going to be, I think, as prevalent now because of what's happened over the last few years. But
Yeah.
we need good online play. Crossplay needs to be standard.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we need, as weird as this may sound, even though it kind of exists, better training options. Better
Yep.
training options, better offline play. Because if you want to introduce players to your systems or like get them ease into things, like auto combos are good for a point, but I feel like if you explain your mechanics well and understand how they work, that can help open up the trends. Like NetherRealm is very good with that when you look at Injustice or MK.
And
I
Dead or
feel like
Alive 5 was excellent with its training tools. Also, Skullgirls had a actual dedicated section for teaching you how to deal with zoners.
which that needs to be
Yeah,
standard for
that
some.
little mini ball game, right?
Yeah.
So John, pass it off to the next person you want to hear from.
I will say, Madman, take point on this one. What would you like to see?
Okay, so first I gotta get into how I got into the fighting games, and as I
Mhm.
said earlier, got into it with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. My brother kicked my shit in, but it really got me interested in fighting games. And then I basically got into Mortal Kombat after that because I had a Super Nintendo, so I played Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and I had an N64, so I played Mortal Kombat 4 on that. And I've been playing Mortal Kombat ever since then. But the fighting game that really just changed fighting games forever, right? For me, anyway, was Marvel versus motherfucking Capcom 2.
See, though, the Versus series.
I played that game, and it was because it had already come out at that point, and it was on PS2. I played the PS2 version. I know, not one of the better versions of that game, but still, it was a pretty solid version of it.
Mhm.
And I played that version. I rented it to death because I picked the case up off the shelf at my local my local rental store, and I saw Hulk on the cover, and I was like, "Must get now!" So I go and I plop it on the counter, pay for it, run home. As soon as we got into the driveway, I ran into the house, popped down, played it, and my God, chaos of that game, the characters, stages, the music, everything just opened my eyes up and just made me say, "Oh my God, this is what fighting games are about right here."
And what do you want to see in the future of fighting games?
What I want to see is a lot of what John said. Their online play, pull back. It needs to be standard. Crossplay needs to be standard. But I'm gonna add something here, and this is on top of better training tools, which me and Lever already talked about in the previous episode. If you want to go check that out, I'm sure that either him or Godo is gonna put that in the description to our auto combo discussion,
Yep.
or not
Yep.
auto combo, to our Dead or Alive discussion where we talk about that.
Yep. We'll put a card up.
So, what I want to add into here, more replayability. Okay, I feel like game developers really have kind of just stepped away from single player replayability. That's what gives a game elongated,
Shelf life.
shelf life, fun factor. When you can sit there and get onto a game like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and play that game even single player and still have a blast with it, that's how you know it's a good game right there. Now, there are modern games that are trending in that way, like Mortal Kombat is trending in that way. You've got the towers, you've got the story mode, you've got all the challenges that you can do, you got the crypt that you can do. So it's the most replayable modern fighting game out there.
Yeah,
And I will die on that hill alone if I have to.
I definitely agree with that. So I guess throwing off to me now.
Actually, I will
Oh,
do,
go
and
ahead.
then you can do your closing and
Okay.
closing statement.
Okay, cool.
So for me, the game that really got me into the fighting series actually was Killer Instinct. That was the
There's one we never talked about yet. Ki.
yep Ki. That was one of the first fighting game that actually got me into the series, well genre. And to be honest, it was like the segue to Primal, which was another Primal Rage.
I've heard of that one.
It was a
Yes.
great game. Clay Fighter, and then I got into Mortal Kombat, and Mortal Kombat was like the eye opener, and I stuck with it up until even recently. Still playing, and I love it. I can't wait. Me and Mad Belmont need to do a mirror match, Scorpion to Scorpion.
That'll be fun
Oh
to watch.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
We do need to do that, and actually, I could record it and have that installed as well on this chat once we get better timing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good idea.
for the future of the genre, I would love for instead of having like how to explain this. So a game me, John, and Madman played a lot was Rainbow Six Siege, and we're always hosted by servers. These servers have a specific connectivity power that help us not have lag. I wish
Hmm.
fighting games would rent out servers to do the same thing. Help them reduce lag. Netcode definitely needs a upgrade with rollback netcode and all that. But if they'd have personalized servers, holy shit. Like
Fun fact for you, Goto. The newest version of Virtua Fighter 5
yep.
actually does that.
See, and I'm pretty sure that if we would play all together, me, you, and Matt Belmont, we wouldn't have as much lag as we did last night playing Soul Calibur. Like
Mhm.
that was bad.
It was.
So I'm gonna hand it off to you.
Okay.
I've said my tidbit. I've said my 2 cents. It's your turn.
So basically, I want everything that these guys have previously mentioned. I want better training tools, better netcode, more single player content. But I also want them to include stuff that used to be popular on like the PS3 era, where you could actually kind of customize your character's costume a little bit. I think that would be really cool. Uh, that it's just a little quality of life thing because I think fighting games are mostly at a point where it's just focus on little quality of life improvements, focus on improving what's already there. You don't really have to do too much in terms of changing things. What I would like to see though is more fighting games that focus on incredible speed. I would because that is my preference as a fighting game player is speedy gameplay, speedy characters with high damage output. So kind of similar to the 90s. I would also just like to see more Dead or Alive, more King of Fighters because those are my two favorite fighting games. As I said before in previous episodes, Dead or Alive 5, that's how I got into 3D fighting games, and Garo and the King of Fighters is how I got into 2D fighting games. So, yeah, that's basically what I've got to say on that. Is there anything else either of you guys would like to say?
Or create a fighter. options in fighting games.
Yeah, I think that's what Leaf was getting into about customizing your fighter.
A little bit, yeah. Um, but also like taking standard characters and like being able to mix and match pieces of their costumes. I think that would be
That's
kind of
what I
cool.
was gonna get into. Well, not actually just the costumes, but take, make yourself a custom character, make them look
Mhm.
however you want to, but mix and match different moves from different characters. Basically, make it to where you can mix and match any move in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make your own custom combo sets and stuff like that. That would be dope. Kind of like what Soul Calibur 6 does.
I would
You
say
can do that.
for those move things, like I believe wrestling games allow you to do that. I know that's something the WWE games have done well. I'm surprised you don't see too much of that with fighting games here. Like I think the only one that comes to
Yeah.
mind is maybe MK Armageddon
Yeah.
when it comes to that stuff, right?
I think so.
MK Armageddon and definitely Soul Calibur 6
Yeah.
is what I was just mentioning.
But I know in terms of customization for stuff, that's one thing I know Bandai Namco does well with their stuff. Like look at Tekken and how much you can customize your characters, at least visually and all that.
hmm
Yeah.
which is what I was kind of talking about.
But if you want to go like insane, like with customization stuff, I would don't just limit it to characters. Like again, take a page from wrestling games. What about give us custom stages, like make our own stages or themes and stuff? I
That would
think
be awesome.
depending if it's possible to do.
Yeah,
No,
maybe release like a developer tool.
yeah. Well, I mean, again, that'd be kind of hard because the problem with that is you need to get it on PC, and not everybody has a PC capable of doing said stuff unless they do a separate application, kind of like Rainbow Six Siege did with their test server. But
Yeah,
do
that's
that
what I was.
on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. That might be a lot.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but there's logistics involved, and they could figure it out.
Yeah,
If it can be done, yeah. As long as it's also easy to use the tools for players as well. That's
Because
gonna be
here's the thing: games like on the N64 and PS1 let you do track editing.
yeah. But see, that was an internal editing software. That's just fine.
Yeah, that's
Nowadays,
what I
the
was
games
thinking.
are so big that it's hard to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you were talking about the N64 a lot. Those editors took a lot of space on your data pack.
Sure. oh, oh, the memory cards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I go help.
Yep.
Yep, that's fine. Uh, I think that's pretty much a good spot to wrap up anyway.
Yeah, before I lose power anyways. I don't want to
Uh,
lose this recording.
yeah, so I'm just gonna say hire Godo for an editing jobs. He will pop his email up in the editing portion. I will link to John's socials, Madman socials, and my socials in the description below. I will catch you guys all next time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no
Thanks.
problem.
It was fun.